So Chris spontaneously, when I walked in the other day, he had a gentleman here named Chandler. We were discussing how you go through transitions and you understand that there's going to be lows and there's highs. Obviously, we know that. But we were also discussing how everything is energy. And it lead me into my whole talk, which I've been developing for a little bit, called thoughts equal emotions equal action, right? And I kind of laid it out to them at the table, and sure enough, I had some great things from Chris, and now I'm here speaking to all you guys. And what I want to get to you all today is understanding that it doesn't matter what's happening on the outside world, right? Doesn't matter what's happening with the recession, doesn't matter what's happening with the economy. As long as your inside world is up to par, you'll be able to walk through any part of a downturn. And understanding this, I'm sure we all understand what the law of attraction is, right? That is the secondary law. What we need to work on today is the primary law, which is the law of vibration. So I put together some notes today. You could just skim through it. Third page in, it talks about the law of vibration, all right? So when I say everything is energy, it doesn't matter what is going on in the world, right? Today we will turn to the media, which is terrible. And what happens is when we listen to all this bad stuff, our energy goes down. And what we need to do is block it out. Now, I don't mean for you guys to be blind to everything. What I'm saying is that we don't take time for ourselves. And as you could all see, we have all phones on the table and we're all so programmed to be connected to our Apple, and this is what we're focusing on. But we do need to take 10 minutes a day, maybe 15 minutes a day to ourselves to think of positive, happy thoughts. And if we don't do this, what happens is we keep our energy low. So let me rewind a little bit. So in 2014, things started going sour in my business and I decided to sell and I started to move on. So the transition took me from 2014 to about 2018. I was finally able to sell everything off. And then 2019-20, what happens? COVID hits. So I was in a very good spot by liquidating all my businesses at that point. So some people say I was lucky, but I would like to say at that point, I started really understanding how the mind works and how things are organized. I was lost in so much bad thought. I was in a bad place mentally, physically, and I had to change myself, not for me, just for me, but my family as well. So I took time to understand how the mind works and how important it is to keep your vibrational level at a high point. So I went through it all. I started having mentors like Bob Proctor, Neville Goddard, and I was studying them and I continue to study them. And then I've learned that personal development is the most important part to whatever direction you decide to go in life and business, right? So today I would like to understand that thoughts equal emotions, which equal action, okay? So I'm going to be pointing out Chris a lot today because I would like to bring out how far he's come in the last 6-7 years, and I would like to have you guys all understand it all originated from a thought. So Chris had the thought 6 years ago to have his own brokerage. And now, funny enough, we're all sitting here, and he has me talking to everybody at the table. And I would like to say that it doesn't matter what it is. We're going to talk about goal setting today and envision, but the most important part to goal setting is the law of vibration. The law of attraction is the secondary law, and the law of vibration is the primary law. So this is why I've broken down to you to have understand the law of vibration. This is for you guys to take home. Read it a couple times so you absorb it, not just once. You have to take your time to absorb this to really understand it. And when I really truly started to understand that everything in the world is energy, it's been easier for me to attract what I want. And things have been flowing into my life. And I had not really had to fight for things like I was before. When I did sell off my businesses, I decided to start flipping houses because my wife was part of the whole dream team. And I am the team. I appreciate that, hon. Thanks. And working together with Steph, we're able to find the properties and move forward. But when I got into the flipping houses at the beginning, the signs were all in front of me. She started getting her license. The books were on the table. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to start flipping houses. And the license came. She ended up with Chris, the brokerage. And during COVID, I was able to keep flipping houses, and we had no trouble. In a world where it was all multiple offers, houses were hard to find, they were just flowing to me easily because I set myself to understand that everything is energy. We did not have to fight for houses, and everything was flowing into my life. And we were able to get multiple homes and able to continue right through, and we didn't have any issue finding homes and putting them back on the market. So this was a sign for me, and then I stumbled into the Psychozoic era. I was doing some work on the mind, trying to understand everything, and Earl Nightingale actually said once in one of his speeches, the Psychozoic era, we're actually entering into an age of the Psychozoic era. And I wanted to learn more about it. Funny enough, there was nothing on the Psychozoic era, and I was able to get all the handles and .com, and now I'm bringing some life to it all. Now, I remember this discussion clearly with Chris. We were driving in his car. It was his birthday. I went to go see him. And I said, Chris, I'm going to grab a couple cigars and I'm going to come by. So I went to go see him. We ended up going to Fitness Depot. He wanted to get some weights. We're driving in the car. And he's... and then he's asking me questions about it. But that's when I just started it and I was trying to get the grasp on my transition. And Chris is like, do you have a plan? I said, no, I don't. And he's like, and he couldn't figure it out. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, it's all going to come. Everything's going to unfold. I'm just not there yet. And so sure enough, at that time, I wrote down 2 things on a piece of paper. When I sold all the businesses, 2 things that I want to continue on my next business is I want to A, have a business all around the world. And 2, I want to inspire people because that's what I really enjoyed by the last business, which brought me here to me speaking in front of you guys this many years later. But that brought me to the how. I was so stuck on the how. How am I going to do this? How am I going to get it done? And then I realized the how is not my job. My job is to set the goals, understand my end vision, and allow the how to present itself, which it always does. But the problem is we're so stuck in negative thought, we keep missing the how. We keep missing it all because we're so lost in thought. And when you understand that, if you actually wrote down all day how many negative thoughts went through your mind, you actually be surprised at how much negativity goes through our mind on a daily basis. And the issues that we face is when we're stuck on these negative thoughts, we're not looking to see the opportunities that are actually in front of us every single day. We're missing it all. So I'm not saying it's easy to eliminate the negative thoughts, but what is important is to understand when you do get the negative thoughts is to understand why you're getting the negative thoughts, right? Really understand it and absorb it and try to figure it out. Because you'll see that it will trace back to a reason why those thoughts entered your mind. And then you can actually trace it back and then be content with it, put it to rest, move on. But if the positive thoughts keep coming over and over in your mind, it's easier for you to track what you want in this world, right? Now we're talking about affirmations. I sent one out in an email. I don't know if anybody received it. Chris said he's forwarded to anybody,
yeah.
Right?
So it's a little reminder this morning.
So over and over I kept saying to myself, I am so happy and grateful, and I continued to finish the sentence. But at the beginning of my affirmation, when I first started, I couldn't finish that sentence. I didn't know why I was happy and grateful, right? So if I pointed out anybody at the table like Chris, if I asked you, I'm so happy and grateful, could you answer that question? How you finish that off?
I could, but maybe I understood it wrong or right. I looked at it as if it were forecasted. Not that I'm not happy and grateful today, but I wrote I'm grateful now that I have reached all my financial goals and have the ability to retire and spend quality time with my family. I only choose to work out of pure enjoyment and passion for what I do at 55. I'm not 55. So I'm saying it as if I was 55.
Okay, so this is kind of like your end vision.
Yeah.
This is where you want to be at 55.
Yeah.
But what are you happy and grateful for today?
Well, all the things that I already have that are pretty close to this. Family, this.
Okay.
Health.
So.
Life. Friends.
Perfect.
You, them.
So When you start developing an affirmation and go, the reason why affirmations are important, let's start, it helps increase the vibration. If you're able to finish that sentence and repeat it over and over again, your vibration will increase. Another way to keep your vibration high, exercise. As much as some people hate it, right? Exercise is a great way to keep your vibration high. Meditation. Meditation doesn't have to be an hour break. You walk and sit in a room and you chant. It doesn't have to be like that. Meditation could be 10 minutes. You disconnect from the world, right? You put your cell phones and everything aside, and you sit there for 10 minutes with no disturbance. And what you say to yourself is things that you're actually happy and grateful for. Now, some people some people that I actually speak to can't even say simple things like why they're happy and grateful, and why they actually are happy to move on with the day. And it's true, because we're so lost in negative thought today from everything that's happening and how we can't disconnect for 10 minutes that we can't answer these questions. But this is an important part of personal development, is understanding this. You say enough over and over and you say, I'm hot and sexy, you're going to repel that. People are going to see it and they're going to be attracted to you.
I see it.
Yeah, of course. Right? You're going to say it over and over, and then you're going to get that energy, and people are going to feel it. And this is an important part in understanding. The law of attraction is the secondary law. Now, there is 12 universal laws. I'm not suggesting that today that you take, but if you guys got downtime, Google it. 12 universal laws.
Have you heard of the 5-minute journal?
5-minute journal? No, I've not.
So it's the same principle,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a beautiful hardcover book. I have it at home, and regrettably I have not started it yet. But every single day you take 5 minutes, and it's all out there for you, how you proceed with what you're grateful for, and what was something good that happened today, and blah, 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 blah. And it's all laid out there for every day of the week, and it's all on this whole premise.
Right.
And it totally puts you in a shift after you keep doing it.
Right.
But it's a beautiful book.
Sure.
Yeah.
My best time in the morning is my 30 minutes when I drive my children to school. I got them earning already. So when I drive them to school, I just disconnect, and I'm just happy and grateful to be with my children while I'm driving them to school, because a lot of people don't have that chance, that opportunity to do that. So when that first thing in the morning, to me, it actually creates this rhythm for me throughout the day where I'm just grateful to be there, right? And that's an opportunity that I have with my family, which I would never change for the world. So,
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
When you went from this time, and I never really, I don't know if you can share that.
Of course I will.
Because you've mentioned this to me when we've talked before, when you had the Grecos and stuff, and you just, internally, I don't think you expressed it or showed it externally, but when you weren't happy,
Right.
and then when you made changes to become happy, what were some of the daily affirmations or things that you repeated that you were grateful for at that time to get you out of that place into the place you are now?
Right. So understanding the law of vibration, I've broken down for all you guys, hopefully that you absorb it and get it inside you. When I was doing that transition, I went through a lot in the sense with partnership breaking up, and it got really personal, and they were really attacking me, and it really affected me on the inside. So no matter what happens, sometimes you go through life and business and you hold on to these traumatic experiences and words people say on the inside. And at that time, the partnership was falling apart, and they were choosing a lot of bad directions, which was affecting me as a person. And I was holding on to that emotionally. But I had to deal with it because it was affecting my vibrational state. And when I dealt with it, when I first started following along with Bob Proctor, I don't know if you guys know him. He's one of my mentors. He's been a lot of seminars, and just listening to him has really changed my life. But when I did the understanding the vibration level, I had to put to rest those traumatic experiences in order to lift my vibration. So I had to go through what I was actually holding on to and understand it and put it to rest and then put it aside and shift it. So one of the things I did as an exercise is I wrote down the traumatic experience and I understood it, why it had to happen and why I had to go through it. And when you could let go of those traumatic experiences, your vibration levels are going to increase. It doesn't matter what happens. You need to understand that when we hold on to this trauma, it affects us and affects everybody around you because we all operate on vibration and frequency. And if you keep your frequency as high as possible, which I'm going to get into with Chris and understanding goal setting, you're going to see that things are going to start flowing to you easily. So one of my affirmations, which was heavily around how I want the income to start coming in from my businesses, was I'm so happy and grateful now that I have multiple sources of income coming to me on a daily basis. And I kept repeating it, I keep repeating it, and I go to bed, I fall asleep saying it. And I repeat that multiple times because I know eventually I'm going to have a business that has me all over the world and I'm going to be speaking all over the world because that's my end vision, that's my goal. So I'm not concerned about everything between A and B. That is not my business. My business is understanding that I'm at A and I want to get to B, but my vision needs to be clear in order to get there, right? So having affirmations is one of the biggest steps. 2, exercise, right? 3, try to let go of the traumatic experiences that you've dealt with over the years and write them down and be content with them. You're going to understand that everything happens for a reason, as we all know this. When you're going through it, you may not understand why you're going through it, but on the other side of it, you'll see what had to happen. And one of the examples I give is that why my partnership fell apart and why I got to just one location. At that time, in about 2017, my partner and I, at that point, were discussing if should we sell or should we stay. And it was just a little talk that we're having at the table. I remember one morning waking up and I fell out of bed because my knee I couldn't walk anymore, exploded overnight. I didn't know what was going on. And that affected me going to work for many months because I was in the fitness industry. And what happens was that gave me and my partner the push to sell the business. I've went multiple MRIs, multiple ultrasounds. We couldn't figure out what the issue was. But I could tell you that knee, that moment had to happen in order for it to give the push for my partner and I to sell the business. And then a year later, COVID hit and that business wasn't doing too well at that time, right? So if my knee never really exploded, it will never gave me the push to go and sell the business, my partner and I, which helped us move on. And now we're both doing much better than we were before. So during the whole time, I couldn't see the why. I couldn't figure it out. I was mad, I was angry, right? Like everything's falling apart on me. But then I realized, well, it had to happen. And then that's the important part, is understanding that my knee blew up in order to trigger the whole cell. And now I'm here speaking to you guys, which is how the universe operates. Obviously, the common denominator when you're setting goals, everybody at the table, financing, right? When you set a goal, we always talk about how much money you want to earn annually. So let's say we're going to pick a common number and I'm going to help you get to that end vision, right? That number. So let's go on $300,000 a year because that's a good number. I like 300,000, right? Right? We don't think it's possible? What?
Well, Chris showed us how we could do $1 million.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick on Chris. Don't you worry about that.
So you guys think 300 is impossible or possible?
Well, if you look at today, we would probably say yes,
That it's possible?
that it's not possible.
Okay, no, that's fine. No, but this is the whole point of this exercise, to help you realize that $300,000 and numbers are just energy and you could attract anything you want in your life. It doesn't matter what it is. So we're setting the number today at $300,000. That's everybody goal at the table. 1 year, right? Now, we're going to go on the birthday cycle. Everybody has annual scheduled to January 1st, 2024. It's 1 year to 1 year. That the actual flow is your birthday to birthday. So when you set goals, set your goals from birthday to birthday. That's an actual natural life flow. January 1st was created. Big corporations, they needed a year end. So they all agreed on January 1st for markets. That's the only reason. That was never created inside the universe. What was created in the universe is our birthdays. Birthdays, year to year. That's a natural flow cycle. So when you set goals from birthday to birthday. Now, $300,000, it's not unreasonable. I'm sure if I go out there, maybe some people at the table, I don't know your financing, but I'm saying that if I go outside, I could probably find 10 real estate agents who are making $300,000 a year. What is the difference between those agents and you guys at the table?
They know it's possible,
The
because they did.
how,
No.
probably.
No.
The how.
I like this lady.
Vibration.
Mindset, that's the only difference. So let's say Chris is $1 million, let's call $1 million man. Chris is the $1 million agent, right? He's making $1 million a year. The only difference, other than the obvious at the table, because this is a male, female, but the only difference is his mindset, vibration, and frequency. That is the only difference between you guys at the table and Chris. When Chris first started, he wasn't making $1 million a year. When Chris first started, he was making X. Then he gradually, over time, built up to himself to make that $1 million. Now the reason why, and I've watched Chris grow over the years, I've seen him go from where he was to where he is today. Over the time, his vibrations and his frequency was lifted to the point that he was able to attract $1 million a year, right? And now he's flowing in that flow state in order to understand that $1 million is possible. Chris is not going to go back to $100,000 a year. His vibrational and frequency level is set at $1 million. This is why he's attracting what he attracts in his life. Now, there's no difference at the table. Everybody could do it. It's just the difference is separate. He's made a decision. And the decision that he made is, I'm going to make $1 million a year. That's the only difference between you guys at the table and Chris. Right? So everybody has the possibility of making $1 million a year. It's just the mindset behind the $1 million. Some people get frustrated because they look at the law of attraction and this law of vibration as mumbo jumbo. But when you understand that the $1 million is possible, we all know it's possible, and you truly make the decision to make that $1 million, that is it. The $1 million will show up. Now, your point is not to worry about the how. The issue is that we get stuck on the how. How am I going to make $1 million? How am I going to do this? And then you start getting frustrated, right? When I set my goal 6 years ago to have a business that runs around the world and be able to inspire people, I didn't know how I was going to do it. When Chris built this office, this business, when he said, I'm going to have my own brokerage, do you think he knew he was going to be in this spot 6 years from now? Do you think he knew who was going to be putting the walls together? No, but now he knows because he's been through it. The how was presented to him, right? Because in his mind, he made the decision to go and make his own brokerage, and now we're sitting here in his boardroom. That's all it takes. You're one step away of making your goals as long as you understand that the decision needs to be made. And as soon as the decision is made and you hold your vibration at a higher level, it all is going to be attracted to you. The analogy I always give is the GPS analogy. We all have GPS, obviously. You sit in your car, first thing you do is you type in where you're going, and then boom, it comes up, and the magic destination, right? You don't know everything between point A and point B. You don't look at all the streets you're going to be taking, right? You just know that that's where I'm going. I'm going to follow the GPS. So the universe is your GPS. When you put that message out to the universe that you want to make $300,000 a year, it's up to the universe to decide how it's going to get there to you, right? The universe will present all the opportunities in front of us, but the issue we face is we're so locked up in negative thought and we're not disconnecting from the world. And when we watch the media and we get caught up in what's going on, we tend to lower our vibration, which we tend to miss the opportunities in front of us. I don't like to set numbers as goals. I could tell you why. Because if you don't reach 300,000, what's going to happen is that you're going to get frustrated, right? And then you're going to start being like, this doesn't work and I'm full of shit. That's what you're going to say. I always like to say, work on the number of clients. Let's say you want to attract 15, 20 clients in your life for the next year. Because those 20 clients could draw in your 300,000. So I always like it's easier to attract energy in your life, which everything's energy. So I always like to say 15 or 20 clients, bring them into your life, which then could generate the $300,000 a year, right? So understanding that thoughts create emotions, which then go to action. right? But we're still on emotions. If you're not able to understand and decide, let me give you the example. When I was watching Bob Proctor on video and doing conferences with him, I was sitting there saying, I wish I could speak like Bob Proctor. I wish I could speak like Neville Goddard. But that was my issue. And I realized that one day, I said to myself, that's my issue. That's my problem. I'm saying I wish I could speak like them. I made the decision at that point to say, I'm going to speak better than Bob Proctor. I'm going to be able to do seminars and public events and have my own spin on it. That was the decision I made at that time in that moment, which then the universe pushed me off into the right direction, right? But the decision has to be made. So if you're doubting the fact that you're going to make $300,000 a year, it's not going to happen. It won't. But if you make the decision to make $300,000 a year, then it will. But if you work on who you are as a person and you believe inside that you're worth $300,000 a year, there's no reason why you can't attract it, right? Now we talk about outside noise. Your current reality is created by you. If you want to create a different reality, you need to change your perspective in order to create that reality. So let me give you an example. Right now, everything's going upside down, right? We're saying the recession's coming, everything's happening, so on and so forth. But if you truly know your worth on the inside, it doesn't matter what happens on the outside, right? That's like saying your health is dictated by the outside noise. It's not. Your health is dictated by who you are emotionally, right? So if you're able to fix who you are and do the work on the inside, the outside is going to reflect that perception, right? So and in these times, what happens is we go through these great times and then the hard times hit, but we haven't done the work on ourselves to continue to go through the lower frequency, right? And if you set yourself up to go follow through, when the hard times hit, it won't bother you because everything's going to be flowing towards you, right? So if you do the energy work and understand the law of vibration, when these situations happen, like we were just talking about, it's not possible to make $300,000 a year. We had this at the table. It is. It's just we have to do the work in order to understand. So while we're going through these moments, vibrationally, it will carry us through. Because your inside world dictates what happens on the outside, right? So it doesn't matter what's going on everywhere other than the moment right now, right here. And there's no reason why you can't attract $300,000 a year. And there's no reason why you can't attract 15 to 20 people into your life. Let's say, I'm just going to say this, let's say you decide, oh, this brokerage is not working out for me. I'm going to go somewhere else, right? Those thoughts enter your minds, and let's say you do decide to leave to go there. It's going to be the same situation that you're picking up from here to go to the new brokerage if you haven't done the work on who you are. You're going to carry it with you. And you're going to see the same steps are going to unfold and repeat. But if everybody sat down and done the work, even a 15, 20-minute chat between the group and understood and it was a positive talk, you'll see things start coming to you in different ways.
I do notice that once I start getting busy doing this stuff, more starts coming to me.
So
over the last 5 years, that's how it's been.
Right. So what happens is, when you're caught, let's take the negative part. So we're going to get to everything's energy. Understanding everything's energy. So when you're focused on that energy, more energy will present itself, right? So when you're stuck in a happy moment, more happy will come. So if you're happy and grateful on the inside, more happiness will be showing in front of you. So when everything's going great, fantastic, and things are flowing, what are you thinking in your mind? Everything's great. Everything's flowing. But then we hit the hard times, low energy, and then we start focusing on the low energy. But if you could start focusing on energy being higher at that point, right? I'll get to goal setting and vision. But if you start focusing on the end vision, it doesn't matter if you have 1 month bad, because you know your end vision is the 15, 20, or 300,000 clients. So in 1 month, you could do 3 clients, which could bring you to 300,000. I'm not sure on the numbers, but that's possible, right? And then 1 month you may not have anybody. But if you focus on that downturn, you're just going to put yourself more in a downturn spin. This is why having goals and end vision, is the most important. So Chris brought up his end vision, where he sees himself at 55. So he's created where he wants to be at 55, his vision, his goal. So he knows along the way, that's the direction he's going to take him. So from point A to point B, as I was saying, in between those two, A and B, it's not your business. Universe is your partner. The universe will guide you down the right path to get to wherever you want to go. As long as you decide to make the decision to get there. And the end vision is your most important part. Happiness brings you everything you want in this world, right? And if you're truly happy on the inside, everything's going to start flowing to you much easier. But I've been there, I've been miserable, and it's affected my family life, emotionally, physically, and I had to change that in order to understand that this is the point that it's going to be changing for me. And I see it now in my pictures, my older pictures. I could see it in my face when I look at it and how miserable and emotionally wrecked I was. But then I started understanding wealth and abundance, and that was my most important part, which changed my entire life around. My wife would thought I was crazy during the, still am. During the whole COVID part, what I was doing was, I had my ways. I was set on how I was going to find the houses. I didn't tell Steph because I thought she was going to think I was a big mumbo jumbo at that point. As soon as I got the one house, I was in front of the computer again and I was focusing on the next house. Steph would always say, I could send you an email list with all the updates. I said, nope, I got my way, I want to do it. But what I was doing when I was in front of the computer, I was practicing my affirmations, which was attracting me the house that I wanted. And that was my way of getting the home. So we would go see multiple homes and she would get frustrated with me, but we would end up finding the house. But my whole way of understanding how to attract it into my life, I was focused in front of the computer as soon as I got one to be able to attract it to me. And I was going through my mind. I was happy and grateful, happy and grateful. And then the house would come. Every 3 months I was able to get into another house. No issue. I was just flipping them. Keep going. People asking me how I was doing it. I was just like, I'm just doing it. I try to share with somebody the whole universe and speak to them about that. They're going to be like, whoa, is this guy lost in them?
Flipping, you were buying them, fixing them up.
Putting them back on the market, right? And at that time, I was really, I would say I was a little bit hesitant to speak about this because I was going through the transition. But now that I see how it's helped me in my life, I'm able to share it with everybody else. And when I started recording the videos and started going through the transition, it was tough for me, but now that I'm stronger at it, it's easier for me to expect because it works for me and I'm sharing it with you. So $300,000 a year, I don't think it's unreasonable. And if that's what you want, you have to make that one decision in order for you to get what you want, right? And then increase the vibration to get there. So we have thoughts. So now we need to organize your thoughts, right? I'm still on thoughts equal emotions. So this is how it's important to understand in your mind that the thoughts create emotions. You think about it enough. You say your affirmations enough. What will happen is your emotions will start to get involved with those thoughts. And then slowly what's going to happen is it's going to turn into action. So for example, I'll give Chris once again. He thought about opening up his brokerage many times, which then turned to an emotion where he acted on it. And now we're sitting here in his boardroom. So it doesn't matter what it is you guys want. You may all want different goals. Your thoughts will create those emotions, which will then turn into action. So we need to get your mindset organized to understand that the positive message that you give yourself will then in turn inspire the emotions. And if you don't have those emotions being inspired, action will never be delivered. And if we're always stuck in negative thought, you'll never get the emotions to go and take the action. Does anybody want to ask any questions? If I asked you right now, why I'm so happy and grateful, could you write it down? Could anybody write it down? Good. Now, if I ask you, why is money so important to me, could you write it down? No? Could you answer the question? Why money is so important to me? Right. So take the time and answer these questions, right? Why is money so important? When you understand why money is important to you, money will flow easier into your life. right? Somebody asked me the question, why money is so important to me? I'm saying it chooses to give me the free will that what I want to do, and two, will help support my family and do what I like to do, right? At first, I couldn't answer that question. Why does money support me? I just want money, right? But when you truly understand those answers and you answer them correctly, you'll find that money starts flowing to you easily because you know why. Also, if I ask you what makes you happy, can you answer that question? You don't need to answer it. I'm just trying to get your thoughts going. What makes you happy? Can you answer that question? You don't need to answer it, but some people can't answer the question, what makes me happy? What is happiness to me? Right? Which goes to the bigger question. What is success? What does success look like to me? If you can't answer these questions, how is the universe going to provide you what you want? How is the universe going to bring you in a direction that you want to go? If you can't answer the questions of what makes you happy, why you want money, and what does success look like to me? Right? These are three simple questions that need to be answered because your thoughts are sent out to the universe and the universe is going to help you get there. And the universe will guide you down the right path, just like the GPS. You sit in the car, you push the destination, and then you go, right? But you're not concerned about what happens between A and B because that's to a greater power that we're yet to discover, and it will eventually we will know more about it. But right now it's out of our realm. So when you're creating your reality, so now right now we're shifting from this reality to the new reality. We're going to raise your vibration, your frequency. We're at $100,000 a year. Your goal for your next flowing cycle is between birthday to birthday. Your goal is $300,000 a year. We got to raise your vibration. How are we going to do that? One, you're going to take 10 minutes a day, happy thoughts. Two, if you want to start exercising, please do. A great way to keep your vibration up. And three, it's okay to look in the mirror and tell yourself you're beautiful, right? When you wake up in the morning, say good, positive things to yourself all day, right? Especially when you feel low, pick a thought. Happy cancels unhappiness out. So if you could think that you're beautiful and sexy, the unhappiness will go away. One cancels out the other. You cannot be happy and unhappy at the same time. So if you choose happy, unhappiness is locked, gone, right? So during this time when things are lower, we're going to focus on this to help your vibration and your frequency get there. The last step is always action. It doesn't matter how you're going to, how big your goal is. If there's no action, you'll never get there. Now, I shouldn't say that. If you sat on your couch all day and thought money, 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 I hope it's not the case, but let's say you did, you'll eventually get there, right? You'll eventually get to that point. Money will come into your world, but it's harder for it to happen, okay? So what happens is I always say that thoughts equal to emotions would turn into action. So at these times, you got to start putting yourself out there more. You start events, engagements, talking. Now, Chris's vibrational level is always set very high. His frequency is high, so he tracks a lot into his universe. If it was me and I was one of the agents, I would probably bother Chris and stay with him pretty much as I can. The reason why I would do that is I would follow him around because I would want to be around that vibration. I would want to be around that frequency. Because when you walk into a room and your vibration and frequency is set higher, people notice and they engage you more, right? They want to be part of that. They want to be involved with you. So just saying Chris at his level, the example I gave the other day when we went to table, now that things are slower, action, get involved with his videos. Get involved. I don't know if he will accept that, but I'm just saying.
Does he want that?
I'm putting him on the spot. That's a later discussion. But his media and stuff is great, and that's a good way to get the vibrational level and everything higher is by being part of that. And when people start seeing that, they're going to be like, not only Chris's vibration, they're going to notice you. Yes, you're on the video, but you're getting attracted to that, and people will then turn to it. And it's going to be much easier for you guys to get the clients, get the individuals going. And everything in this universe you're entitled to. It doesn't matter big, small, everything you're entitled to. So let's talk about currency. Currency is energy. We created currency. Currency was never brought into the universe. We rewind many, many years ago. They used to trade sheep and corn as a form of currency. Then as things evolved, we are the ones that created currency, right? And back then they understood energy, because when you trade something back and forth, that helps keep the energy rising. So Chris gave me 10 sheeps, I gave him 12, back and forth, or whatever, here's my castle, and take my wife, whatever it is, and then here it is. And they were trading back and forth. That helped them with their energy. It helped keep the energy going, because they understood. I slipped it in there. So that they understood that energy, and they understood that the power of bartering helps with their energy and their frequency. So now when it comes to money, I know it's hard to do when things get slow. You tend to hold on to money much tighter, and you're like, oh, money, money, money. But you need to focus on energy. So in order to attract more, you do have to give more. And you have to be grateful that you're giving it, because then it'll always come back to you tenfold. It doesn't matter how. And it's a simple donation. Like even if you give out $1, that money is going to come back to you one way or another. So when you understand that the currency, it is always an energy, you could attract whatever it is you want in your universe. You just need to understand that that is an energy currency. And when you get into the law of vibration, as I'm trying to point out to you, and understand, in order for you to attract, set your vibration on a high level, understand that frequency will attract you anything, right? It's easier for you to attract the money you want in your world, and it will flow to you nicely. But that also comes with action. So if you're not doing anything about it, okay, you're not going to be able to receive what you want to receive at the end of the year. And it's simple engagements. Bring yourself out there, go into events, trying something new, get out as much as possible. Do these things will help draw in the people. Now, there must be events going on during these times that you guys could all take part in, and will help with you with your vibration. I'm just giving you examples. I don't really know what's going on in this real estate world, other than when I speak to my wife. But these are things that will help you attract the abundance that you want. I did say clients. I did say $300,000, a number. Nothing wrong with that. But I set such a big goal for myself that I've changed the way I set that goal. And I don't set it as numbers. I set it to wealth and abundance. And I say to myself that I'll have wealth and abundance in 10 years from now, right? And I'll move towards wealth and abundance. So everything from now, from A to B, with wealth and abundance, it's all going to flow to me naturally. Because we all have been there. You don't reach your goal and you get frustrated and you're like, nothing's happening for me and I'm sick and tired of it. But if you set your goal to be wealth and abundance, anything can flow to you, right? So that's covering your thoughts equal emotions, which equal action, right? We need to get on that rhythm. And when you get into that flow, things start flowing to you easily and nicely. You have any questions before I jump to the end vision and your top values? This is the most important part. We're going to spend a lot of time on this one.
I remember when we set that goal, it was an astronomical goal, and we have mutual friends that were like, remember, especially after some wine, they would have their opinion, and I could tell Adam would shut them out. This guy's annoying the crap out of me, I'm not going to talk to him anymore. So I think that's a very true statement, that if you, for me, it always worked to do a number, but it does get frustrating if it's too high and you can't reach it. That's tough. But wrapping your head around it, like you said, 300,000 hard in this market. To me, what's fascinating is agents say, I always say this, I'm a $300,000 agent, but we all start at zero. They're not going to sell the same clients they sold last year, this year, or next year. So how do they get there? It's just because they've proven it to themselves that it's possible. That's their value, and then they keep evaluating themselves throughout the year. Where am I at? When we're in the fourth quarter, I'm only at 175. I got to turn it up. So we're all in the same boat. Like I started zero. We'll go birthday to birthday, which I like. But
Yeah.
we're sort of forced to look at it from January 1 just because the industry we're in. But that's another way we do that. I've seen people sort of shut off. Well, I'll start next year, or I'll organize this year for next year. But if we go birthday to birthday,
That's a good idea.
that's a
yeah.
very good idea. Yeah.
So I'm 23 days late.
But
Yeah.
We're beside each other.
Yeah.
But do you
I'm
feel
at
it's
zero.
possible to make 300 now?
I do, and I have a neighbor who's a real estate agent, and we talk all the time, and he's doing really well. Like this year has not affected him at all. And I talked to him about it, and he said, well, Jennifer, he goes, like, every morning I prospect. I said, yeah, you're on the phone, aren't you? He goes, yes. I said, that's what I can't do. I cannot pick up that damn phone. And it makes no sense because I'm very outgoing and I will talk to any stranger on the street about anything, but I cannot pick up that phone and call my database.
But that works for him. I don't prospect.
Yeah,
You
you all
don't-
do it
you
with
don't
your
Terrible
prospect.
that I say that.
You don't?
No. Start wearing your name tag to the grocery store.
That's actually a great idea.
I have heard that before.
Yeah.
And when I first started in the industry, I did do that.
Or if you think it's cheesy, I never wore a
I
pin
did do
from
it.
a previous brokerage, and maybe I'm biased with this one, but I find anytime I wear like a hoodie or something.
Oh, yeah.
In Montreal, I was having breakfast hungover with Amy, and a guy came up to me, and I think we were both wearing hoodies. Maybe it was Grand Prix or something. And a guy came up and said, do you know James Angus? I said, yeah, of course, very well. He's like, we used to bartend together. I'm from Vancouver, blah,
That's
blah, blah. So
amazing.
the connections in another city, and ENV has the best for that. The other day I was at Victoria, and Amy's diaper bag is an ENV bag. And a guy said, do you know Frank O'Day? I said, yeah, Nancy O'Day and Frank O'Day are good friends and colleagues. And it's just, they're not going to do that if you have a Remax bag, I don't think. But if you have an ENV bag, they're going to do it. So you don't have to have a, hi, I'm Jennifer.
Let's back up to you not prospecting. I can't get that out of my head.
Because
I
Chris
don't-
is
But you
very
have to
social.
You are always out there mingling.
He does in a different way. He
Yeah.
doesn't get up in the
It's
morning
getting-
I
and
don't
start
even know that
calling.
I'm social.
You're very
Calling.
social.
I don't even
Always
know
out
that
there.
I'm all that social. I just,
He's introverted actually.
yeah.
Well, I mean, but you're
Yeah,
always
but if
like
you're out and about,
out and
at
about
downtown
dinners,
restaurants.
meeting people, and like that's a big thing. Is to always like have your face there, so people have to see you all the time. You know what I
With
mean?
prospecting, you don't have to pick up the phone. Do you want to hear from your agent on the phone? Just touch them. Touch them every quarter with a GG magazine.
I do
touch
do
them every
that.
month with an email.
I do do
Make a
that.
phone call only a couple times.
I do find it very weird to just out of the blue in the morning
100%.
when someone's at work and their realtor's calling them for why, like.
But that's what I'm saying. That works for him.
You have to
his
provide a
personality.
value. too.
Yeah.
You can't just call and say hi, and then just nothing happens. It's hard to say, like you have to, like there has to be some
It's
reason
just-
point of value.
Yeah,
Have you noticed the interest rates and why are they so high and how's that affecting you and when do you have to renegotiate? And
These are the things we should, why we're doing this, why we should talk about it. What is comfortable for you? I could tell you all day long what I do, and you can be like, well, that's so uncomfortable. You're not going to do it. So you got to do what works for you. Prospecting to me is unnatural. I don't want to say don't do it, or having a script is unnatural. It's just, but that works for me. That's my personality. So it's not your personality.
there must be something you're doing to bring in all this business that you're bringing in, and it's not. It can't
you
just be
see his
TikTok.
billboards?
It can't just be.
I was about to say, have we driven down Riverside lately?
Every day.
All I do is meditate in the morning and
Okay, so this is important to understand. So he's at the vibrational level and the frequency that he's able to attract those clients into his world. That's the level he's at, right? You could get to that level as well. There's no difference between you and Chris.
Should
Well,
I just keep
obviously,
reading his book over and over?
yes.
the only
This is good stuff though.
So-
It is very good
So
stuff.
the difference between you and Chris, all right, obviously the obvious reasons, but I'm just saying it's his mindset. It's different from yours. When I said, I'm not trying to point you out here. I'm just,
That's okay.
we're all at the table. When I said $300,000, you were hemming and hawing over that, right? I see where your mindset's at. I say $300,000 to
Yeah.
Chris. He's like, that's too low, right? I'm
He
not
wants
doing
to
it.
do that in the next
Yeah, yeah.
month and a half.
Do you understand? Do you see the difference in mindset?
Yeah,
That's the only separation between everybody at this table.
I'm supposed to be in Mallorca right now with all the other private office people, and they're starting to post Instagram photos of themselves on in first class, and I'm a big shot, whatever. So I said to Amy, because I started to feel bad that I wasn't there, I said, John said, see you in 3 weeks. When he comes back, I'm going to say, yeah, I didn't go, but while you were away, I made $300K. That's exactly what I said to her yesterday.
He said it to me too.
So 3 weeks. That's my goal.
Now, did you pick the 300K number before
Yep.
came in?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we
See,
never
that's
talked.
manifestation
We never
right
talked.
there.
We never talked. And we never talked. I just picked 300,000, so that's the number I felt in the room. But I just said 300,000 is possible for everybody
And I
here.
said to Amy 2 weeks ago, I said, I got to make 400K before the end of the year. She asked me yesterday, you still have to make 400K? You're still focused on that? I said, no, I only have to make 300K now. So I willed it out, and it's happening. It's happening. But I got to work. I mean, that's the biggest part.
It's actually.
Everyone says, oh, did you read The Secret? Yeah, but The Secret doesn't talk about putting the work in. You can't just put it out there. I have a habit of doing too much work and putting it out there too little. So this is why this is good for me.
Wow.
So if we get around the table and understand that the vibrational is the most important part with the frequency, you'll attract whatever it is you want in your life. At one day you'll be like 300,000 is too little for me. Now I'm moving on to the next stage, right? You're switching paradigms. You're moving on to the next abundance that you want. And he's proven it. He started at zero. He says he wants to make $300,000 in 1 month. I have no doubt that he's going to do it, right? Because his mindset is so strong, as we all saw and we see, that his thoughts create the action, which then his thoughts create the emotion, which turn into action, and it all flows to him.
But if
And-
I made 2, sorry, Adam, it's okay. Still
Well, yeah.
made 2.
I hate to tell you, that's terrible.
And when he was
Thank you,
talking
only
about
2
that,
in a year.
when he was talking about the time in the car going to Fitness Depot, I remember it vividly. I remember where we were, I remember what he was driving, I remember how I felt. And I said, and at that time he had this crazy number. And I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. So I said, what's your plan? Because for me, I said, Adam, I have a plan at a high level, but much lower than what he was throwing out there. I said, if you gave me a whiteboard and a marker, I could map out how I'm going to get there and when. Because that's how my mind works. And he has taught me that it's not a mistake, but what I have to do is trust the universe more to allow me to get there. I don't have to get frustrated with the how. every
So when
day.
you put out that you had to make 300,000 in a month, did you map out the how you were going to do that?
No,
No.
absolutely not. The how is not your business, right? The how, the want, and why you want the 300 is your business. The how is totally for the greater universe. The universe intelligence will give it to you. Okay, before you finish, I'm just going to say this. It might answer your question. Every thought that enters your mind, there's a reason why the thought entered your mind. What you're seeking is seeking you. So that thought was given to you from a greater intelligence that no one yet to understand how powerful that intelligence is.
There's a difference between the how and
The why.
why. You have the goal. Say you have the goal for $300,000 from birthday to birthday.
Yeah.
The how isn't important, but the action is.
Well, the action is, because the action really is the how.
No.
No.
Okay, so we're going to go back. This is great. So understanding the how. I'm going to give you back to the GPS, right? You're here at A. Your goal is the $300,000, which is B, right? You get into your car right now. You sit there in front of your steering wheel. You're going to type in, take me to $300,000, right? Right?
Yeah.
You're sitting in front of the wheel. You just put it in. Everything just popped up. It's going to say, take first right, okay? But what haven't you done yet? You haven't taken it from park to drive. There's no action that's been happening. You haven't gone from park to drive. So the action is you're taking it from park to drive. So now you set off on the step to get you to $300,000, right? Mm-hmm. You're not reading what's happening in between the A and B. You don't know which turn you're going to take until it tells you. Yep. And the signs are always there. You get a sign from the universe saying that, okay, this is the avenue that you need to take. But because we're all so connected to our phones and not disconnecting, right? Taking time to ourselves, we're not getting these answers, right? And when you start sorry?
We're not seeing them.
Exactly. So when you start taking time to yourself, which is the most important thing, your vibration starts increasing. Those signs are going to be in front of you, right? And you're going to start noticing them more because the universe is always giving you signs on the how. It's not your business. Your business is the want. Think of the universe as your partner. You just told your partner that you want $300,000. The universe is saying, yes, I'm going to get you the 300. But this is the way we're going to do it. He's organizing it, right? You just want the want, right? So think it was Chris and Sarah. Chris says, Sarah, I need this. Sarah gets him. He's not worried about how it's going to happen. He just knows that he's going to get it. Universe, I need $300,000, right? I want it. Understanding the why, put yourself in action, create the motions around it, get everything going. The universe is going to start delivering it to you. Having an end vision. This is the most important part. When you have your end vision, it doesn't matter what happens between A and B. You're always focused on the end vision, right? So if you know as strong as possible that end vision is there, you have all the faith in the world that you're going to make the end vision. Why do you care if you have a slow month? Why do you care if 1 month you only made $25,000? Because you know at the end of that year, your birthday, you've made $300,000. You're sitting at home, having a glass of wine, saying, I did it. That's your end vision, right? Or whatever it is you like to drink. So it doesn't matter what happens in between those 2 points, is because your vision is so strong and no one's going to deter you. I would like to say that I brought up my end vision of where I wanted to be at one point and people laughed at me. But I was okay with that because understanding that when you go on a new journey or in a new direction, if you don't have people saying the negative things that people are saying or whatever it is, you know you're not on the right path. When you're on the right path, there's always that negativity at the beginning, and you need to understand that. And when you get past that negativity, that's where the end vision comes in. And if you could get through it, there's no reason why you can't attract it. Right? So we all set out today to make $300,000 a year. Everybody at this table. Your end vision is going to be whatever it is you want to be. But you know when it comes time and that $300,000 is a major bank, you're going to have that glass of wine or that meal or that party that you want to throw. Because that's where you're going. That's the direction you want to go. And it's going to create the emotions to be excited to create that $300,000 in your life. Okay, let's get to the last part. This is the most important part. Identifying your top values. This is an interesting one. This is going to take time for everyone. Maybe you can answer them quickly. But I always say you always have to operate on values, right? Every business, every corporation in the world has a mission statement or have values that they follow. When you start creating your values and your own mission statement, what happens is when you start operating business, you operate under those values, that mission statement. And it doesn't matter what happens in business because you're always operating on that mission, on those top values. Some people, mentors and people I talk to, they say 10, but this is not an easy thing. But I wanted to put it with you guys because when energy's up, operating on your values is important. When energy's down, operating on your values is important. And that's going to help you stay consistent through the ups and downs because you know you're operating on your mission, right? And your top values. So if I asked everybody at the table, what's the number one value? Could you answer that?
Can you give an example of what you mean between
Sure.
a value versus
Everything else.
yeah, sure.
Okay, so let me go on my first. When I did this exercise, I said my top value was money. Okay, that money was my goal. Like I was focused on money, dollar signs. It was what it was. But then the question was asked to me, right? If anybody else was their value top one is money. If I gave you $10 million today, but you had no more time with your family, would that still be your number one value?
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So money wasn't my top one. So I had to go through this and I did it. And I said my number one value in life is time. I cherish my time more than anything else, right? My time and health. And number 2 is my family. Because my time is better spent making myself healthy, which then in turns gives my family a better life, right? So my first value was time, my second was value, and then third was health and abundance, right?
Your second was what?
Second was my family, right? Because as the analogy I give with the $10 million.
Yeah.
Second was my family, because I want to spend as much time as I can with my family. And third is the health and abundance, right? All those 3 are my top 3 values.
The third is wealth and abundance.
Health
The
and
first one is
abundance.
time and health.
First one is time, second is family, health and abundance is third. Those are mine, but your values could be different. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's just things may shift and change as you go through it and you start asking yourself these questions. But the reason why this is so important is, once again, when you hit the downturn, when energy is up, you operate on your values. When energy is down, you operate on your values, and it's going to keep you flowing through these times, right? Having your end vision, identifying your values, and thoughts equal emotions, which turn into action. If you organize these 3 steps, it doesn't matter what's happening around you. You're just going to flow through, which is called the flow state. It's like you're with the stream. And now whatever's happening around you doesn't affect you. And you're going to continue to reach your goals because you're operating on those statements. Yeah.
We have a mutual friend who's very positive, and he tells me, I've asked him this before, when negativity comes at us, as it always does, what does he do to stay at this frequency? And he actually says, cancel in his mind. So if he has a negative thought, he starts to say cancel. If someone's negative, he's listening to them and saying cancel, which works for him. I always forget to do that, but is there something that you do to stay on this frequency? Because I noticed your change over the years, but I also noticed a much healthier state of being on a daily basis when you switched your astronomical monetary goal to just wealth or health and abundance. You changed to be, I've never seen you in a bad mood ever since. So is there a way to keep yourself daily at that heightened awareness where you're happy?
Okay, so let me tell you, bad moods happen, okay?
Yeah.
My wife's at the table, she knows I get into bad moods. But the important part is to understand why you got into that mood, the bad mood, because it's something that was triggered, that triggered you off to get into that emotional state. And usually what happens is, I always give the example when you're driving in the car and you lose your mind because somebody's cut you off or somebody said something or gave you the finger and you lose it. You're acting because you've seen it happen that way, right? We all go through 1 through 7. That's where we absorb the most. Because when you come into this world, you come with an open mind. Nothing is impossible at that point. And as you grow through the ages 1 and 7, the limits, the beliefs, this is a completely different seminar, but the limits and beliefs are set into your mind of what you can achieve and what you can't achieve. And all these habits that are placed in your mind are originated at that age. So I realized when I was losing my marbles, when I was driving in the car, is I saw my father do that when he was younger, right? We all lose it. And I'm still not good at it, and I'm still working at it. But the important part is you acknowledge it, right? So when you get into a bad mood, there's something that has triggered you in order to shift your energy down low. Sometimes it's hanging around toxic people, which cause that infection, which bring down the energy. Or it could be an emotion that's coming up from the past, which is causing your energy to be lower, which is causing you to be in that bad mood, right? But at that point, when that happens, you need to acknowledge it and understand it. And if you took the time to do this exercise, what happens when bad moods I would hit, I would write down, well, why did I get into this bad mood? And then I would try to figure out the answer, right? And this is the reason why it's caused. Because if I took you back to your 1 and 7, and I implemented into your mind from beliefs to understanding that anything's possible, and your goal is going to be reaching $10 million a year, and there's nothing that's going to stop you, and I program that you in your mind, you're going to achieve that later on in life. Some way or some other, somehow it's going to all come into your universe. But the programming that happens at the young age, getting back to the point, is when you're in these bad moods, you need to acknowledge them and understand why is it that you're emotional downturn, right? When you get an email, a bad one, and things start turning off in your head, and then you start getting lost in thought, and all the negativity starts to get, and then it spins out in this crazy, horrible direction, and you're having an argument in your head now, and you don't even know how it all started, you have to go back to that email and understand why it happened. Right? Make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions, guys? If you take anything out of this, is your top 5 values. If you could organize this, everything else would flow in gratitude and a state of abundance.